you. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Fantastic. All right. So what we're going to do today is a design the box exercise, and there's two things I need to tell you. First of all, we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to have to go fairly quickly. Second of all, you don't usually do this exercise at quite this scale with quite so many suits in the room. So this is going to be really, really interesting, and I am looking forward to reporting back to my user experience friends to let them know how this went. I think it's going to be great. I am a user experience person, and I don't know if you have any idea what that means, but oftentimes people think that means that I do wireframes. And that is one of several things that I do. But as Dick Powell mentioned earlier today, the whole idea of the design happens kind of right at the end of the process is a little bit of a problematic misnomer. It means that quite often we come in and have to make the wrong things look kind of pretty. So involving designers from really early on in the process, and some of the techniques that we use really early on in the process, particularly around trying to work out what your product is, how you talk about it, and how you actually stay on track. Keep communicating amongst yourselves and make sure you actually have a shared common vision that you all really understand is a really big problem for a lot of startups. I work a lot with startups, and this is one of the biggest problems that I have to help them with all the time. And a great way to do that is to do this exercise, which is a design the box exercise. I think I might have just done a couple of my slides in one go. Yeah. So one of the ways that we can help organizations really understand what their product is, what consumer need they're filling, and to make sure that they all understand it in the same way and that they really hold true to it, is to achieve some of these things. First of all, to get it written down. Now, a lot of people will be familiar with the mission statements, which really can be very long and say hardly anything at all. What we really want to try to do is to find ways of writing it down that are really concise and really descriptive and really accurate, and that everybody who's involved in the team can really understand and believe and support. And then to externalize that. So quite often what happens is you'll do workshops or you'll do meetings and exercises and make all of these documents, and then they get filed away somewhere and they're never really referenced again. So trying to externalize these, what we decide on, the decisions that we make, the visions that we have, and making them visible so that we see them all the time and we're making reference to them all the time. It's also an incredibly useful thing to do. To do it in a collaborative way, so to find a way to actually get people around the table and engaging and trying to solve these problems together, and walking out of the room at the end of that going, yes, we're all in agreement, we're all in alignment, we all have the same vision about this is incredibly important. And I think that you should never underestimate the power of having a bit of fun. If you're working on something that's difficult and important, it's often going to take a lot of time and a lot of energy. And a really great way to help pull more energy into your project is to make sure that you're kind of approaching it in an enjoyable way. And that's another reason why we do the design box exercise. So, I don't know, are you guys familiar? Have you seen these before? Yeah? Do you know Airbnb? They're like, I don't think they've actually kind of closed any deals, but everyone's talking about how many billions worth of money they're going to be making. They're basically a place where you can go on the internet, look at somewhere that you want to go, and somebody who has a house there, or maybe even a spare room, has put it on, and you can rent their spare room on their house when they're not there. So it's nothing kind of groundbreaking, but they're kind of doing it at a much larger scale and in a much sort of more better user experience way than anyone really has done in the past. They had a lot of trouble getting funding, and one of the ways that they actually ended up closing some funding deals was through this little project that they did, where they made, I think, 500 or 5,000? I should have checked before I put this up. Specially numbered boxes of breakfast cereal designed to sort of illustrate the essence of the two different campaigns. So you've got your Obamas and your Captain McCain's. And what they did effectively there was they did the design the box exercise, which is what we're going to do now, which is to take something that's not a product, that doesn't usually live in a box, and try to embody it in a way that we would if you could walk up to it and buy it, take it off the shelf. You know, how would you talk about it? How would you communicate and articulate the values and the benefits and what's really important, all the key messages around it. So that's pretty much the exercise that we're going to do now. So what I want you to do in your group, and the table that you're at is your group. How many of you guys are sitting at a table where you all work together or study together, where you know each other? Excellent, thought that might be the case. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick at your tables one of these projects. I don't want you to take too much time arguing about this. In fact, I want you to do it in about like a minute. If you have to do paper, rock, scissors, whatever, this is not a scientific kind of thing, just choose one. Facebook, Twitter, Skype, Firefox. Don't be influenced by all the stickers on the desk. You don't know how to do Firefox. TVC, iPlayer, and Foursquare if you're really up for a challenge. Choose one of those, and then we're going to go through this process. Choose your project. Then the first thing I want you to do is to think about your audience. So all of those different products can be pitched to different types of audiences in different kinds of ways. So if you're pitching to a business audience, the things that they're going to value about it and what's going to be useful about it for them is going to be completely different than if you're pitching to a teenager, for example. So again, don't agonize over this. It doesn't really matter which audience you pick. Just make sure that you do, amongst yourselves, decide roughly what your audience is going to be so that you can make a box that's going to make sense to at least one group rather than no sense to anybody at all. That, by the way, is another major problem that startups have, not wanting to choose a target audience and thinking that the entire world is their audience is a really bad idea. So choose your audience. Then what I want you to do is spend a little bit of time thinking about this individually. So grab some post-it notes or grab your notebook and just spend about 3 to 5 minutes by yourself, quietly, not talking to anybody else, making lists of things about taglines or benefits or just anything that you think might go on a box for the product that you're working on, for the audience that you're talking about. I'm going to put this up on this here so you don't have to write that down. Again, this is a really important thing when you're thinking about brainstorming, having a little bit of time, giving everyone a little bit of time to quietly think about things and actually to write it down, to contribute back to the group is a really good way to encourage participation from a much greater proportion of the group rather than just having 1 or 2 really loud voices involved. So once you've done that, then I want you to come together and share your ideas with each other. And there will be some ideas that everybody has, there'll be other ideas that only one person has, because it's kind of a special idea that we can save for another day. And there'll be other ideas that just one person has, where you go, I can't believe you didn't think about that, that is the big idea. So go through, see if sharing your ideas generates any more new ideas, and then have a look at your ideas and go, okay, which one of these are the really important ideas? Which one of these do we want to carry forward and bring to the box? The idea is not to try and get every single idea onto a box. The more successful boxes will be the ones that have picked out a handful of really important ideas and tried to communicate them really effectively. So you don't get any points for having lots of ideas. You have points for choosing good ones to put on the box. And then, so once you've kind of got a sense of the direction that you're going to take in terms of the messaging and the benefits that you're trying to convey to your audience for your product, then it's time to assemble your box, which may be the first intelligence test of the day. We haven't assembled one of these ourselves yet, so hopefully they're easy enough to do. And then get to work designing it. And I want you to think about these kind of examples. I'll leave these up here to kind of try and inspire you a little bit. I think breakfast cereal boxes are fantastic sources of inspiration for this project. But think about, hopefully the name of your product's going to be pretty clear. Look at your tagline. What sort of imagery will help to convey this a little bit more? You know, what are the keywords that you want to put on there? Are there some sort of special offers that will help to really kind of convey what's exciting or important about your particular product? Have fun. This is not, because we're doing it here today, you know, it's not a serious exercise. I'll talk a little bit more towards the end about how you can actually apply this kind of in your own organisations if that's not kind of patently obvious. But that's pretty much what we're doing. So, is this clear? Has anyone got any kind of, I've got no idea what we're going to do next, questions? No? Alright, so I'm going to leave you to talk amongst yourself. I'm going to put the list of projects over here on the wall, and I'm going to put the process up here, and we've got probably about 40 minutes, I'd say. So not a lot of time. Seems like a lot of time, it's going to go so fast. Have fun.
we chose Skype. We chose our target audience as elderly people. We believe this is the target market Skype can aim towards, as it's free and it's also very user-friendly.
So the picture that was shown in the front was a tin can, like a child would use, and as if the child was to ring their grandmother on the computer. So we're just relating back to the child to the grandma, because our target audience, as Joe said, was for older people. And you can go on to explain that.
Yes. The slogan is actually technology you can understand.
Technology you can understand. So it's just Skype, or this is your way with a pot of money to the to make a call. So
a lot of pennies.
Yeah, so that took quite a while, but we came up with that. So it's like Skype, or this is what's gonna get end.
And also we're selling the good thing about Skype, which is actually that it's simple as cookies. And we think that this is actually certified by Nanas. This is sort of organization of nannies.
And it's actually free. So.
Yes, very free. We're using special colors for that as well.
Time's up. Thank you very much.
We chose Twitter, and well, I don't know. Well, this is a box of hot air, basically. We took the view from a non-customer's point of view, and so we created this globe. So to visualize that it's global, and we took this so we can take all the small birds with hashtags and @ and retweets. You can like, put them all around it. But basically, it's a box of hot air which says doctor's warnings. Side effects may include confusion, procrastination, broken thumbs, and digital addiction. It's the fastest growing network in the world of status updates. Remember, this is for a non-consumer, and it might turn into something when you've used it for a long time. You can see there's something in it. And then we wrote, you know, might turn into an Apple product.
So we chose iPlayer, and we chose that target audience as teenagers, so sort of 12 to 16 age bracket. So first thing we've done is an iPlayer logo showing that you can pause and play it whenever you want, and we've also put TV on demand because you can watch the TV when you want to watch the TV. Which is essentially what children want to do. They don't want it to intercede in what they're doing, going out and playing with their friends. They want to watch it when they want to watch it. The next thing is we've got this highlighting thing where you can essentially not tell your parents what you're watching, and they don't have to know when you're doing it. So we've got this logo where basically you can switch between your homework and the things that you don't want your parents to see you're watching.
You show the guys at the back what it looks like.
Yeah,
very good. Well done. I don't know whether that's quite the twist the BBC would go with, but I like that you've done that.
We came up with a way of marketing Twitter to the elderly. It's called CUTEC. You can use it to get in touch with your local doctor, policeman. You can stalk Jamie Oliver. You can you can connect with your family, and all in all, it's a better tablet for you. So we're also marketing it as a tablet hooked up to a typewriter, so people can, you know, it's a way of interacting with the device. That's well now. So do you want to do the back?
So the idea is that old people have difficulty moving around, so they can stay in touch with whoever they want from wherever they want. So they can tweet from the porch, the armchair, the garden, anywhere. It allows them to connect generations, their grandkids and so on. It allows them to share their opinions. So old people have lots of opinions. They can tweet a politician and rant at them on Twitter. They can tweet their doctor and their police if they get into trouble or they need medical assistance. And as we said before, they can also stalk celebrities. And it allows them to get care from everywhere.
Very good. It concerns me that that's not the first time I've heard stalking as a customer value proposition today. But very good, great work.
Well done.
So we've developed this product, which is the BBC iPlayer for business professionals. And what makes it special is that it's on demand, it's tailored, which is very important. It's mobile because the current professional doesn't always stay by his desk. So business professionals have certain priorities. They work irregular hours, and they can watch it whenever they want. One of our things is that you can turn back time, so you can see the sun going in the opposite direction. You're controlling it, so it stays fresh for 7 days. And Sugar also recommends The Apprentice. You don't really have time to waste on ads. You work irregular hours, you can watch what you want, when you want, whether it's Paxman in the morning or Clarkson in the afternoon. Thank you.
We did iPlayer again, but this time for families. So this is the harmonious scene that iPlayer produces the moment you turn it off. And the tagline is, your family's TV, anytime, any place, anywhere, any screen. So that is simply it. And on the back, we have an attempt to show that different members of the family can watch what they want, when they want, but rather difficult to put across graphically. And that is it, really. We've also got where you can watch it. Its main features, it's free, safe, HD. You can watch the whole series. It's ideal for anywhere, the car, the bath, the sick bed, garden, hunt, work, all these things. And you can watch it on your TV, your laptop, or your phone. That's it.
Very good. This is a Skype case. Basically, our audience was businessmen or with families, family men who travel a lot.
All women, business women.
All women. And the idea is when I go on holiday, I take this suitcase along, the Skype case, and as you can see, we spent a lot of time making the case. And when I'm away on my travels, I have my family with me, so you can travel with Skype, and your family comes with you. And here's basically a scene from Skype. So when I'm sitting in the plane, or I'm in my hotel on my own, and I'm feeling a bit lonely, I can basically open the Skype case. That's it.
Okay, we've gone niche with Skype again. We've gone escape with Skype. We've got virtual freedom for prisoners everywhere. Really bringing in online relationships to the fore, that you don't actually necessarily know who it is you're dealing with, who you're talking to, where they are, or if they can't get out of the weekend, they can be accessible by Skype. We've got, unfortunately, a warning on the side. Warning may contain traces of Windows. and we have a part of the end user license agreement, but unfortunately the rest of it comes in a truck. We've gone along the lines of internet relationships that you can maintain using Skype. You can really do them from anywhere. And this guy, I think, is in cell block J2.
Very good. So we did Facebook for Business, trying to steal customers from LinkedIn, and we thought the major challenge was to convince businesses to use Facebook rather than LinkedIn. So we created what would look like an iPad interface. We called it Facebox, Business at Facebook. And the selling proposition, we thought 600 million users and growing, so serious numbers, plus serious fun. So Facebook's a lot more social and fun than LinkedIn, competitive advantage. And then plus it's free, so we put free seriously. And then the bottom line equals serious business. And then on the back, the bottom line, no one can beat. Sort of subtly going against LinkedIn.
Excellent. Nice one.
We also went for Skype. We were aiming at small and medium businesses. The tagline is, still using a phone for business, how 80s. We've got a crossed out phone there. If we knew what a fax looked like, we'd have crossed out a fax as well. So the punchline is, see the future with Skype video. It's a free download. It's 99% cheaper than your current telephony provider. It's endorsed by leading businesses. It's got some terms and conditions, as with all products, but it's got no additives, just pure communications, and open here, the future's inside.
Very nice.
So we went with LinkedIn for environmentalists. So everyone knows people go on LinkedIn looking for jobs, but we want people to work at companies that are doing good things for the environment. So we've got this awesome app on LinkedIn that will help people track the kind of companies in general, rate them, see how they're doing over time, so they can share information about companies, discuss what they're doing environmentally, advise them, rate them, and so you can affect the kind of companies that people are applying to. If they see that, for example, BP wasn't doing so well last year, we rated it 1. And so we think this is a better way of changing the way people apply for jobs and the type of companies they apply to, and then eventually the companies will want to come to us to figure out how to improve their scores.
Very good.
Our target market is the grandpa and grandmas. So it's Skype your family with our tagline, and this, you give it, you can get free calls. So inside this box, you'll get a USB free phone. So basically, you just have to plug it in, and it will install Skype for you. And then this is the 3 easy steps for grandpa and grandma. So just plug it in, click on the contacts, so click on the pictures, and talk to your loved one. So it's simple and easy, and it's free.
Special price $12.99.
I want to ask you a couple of questions now, though. I want to ask you what, within the teams that you're in, what did you find in that was difficult? What was the hardest part?
Well, I guess for us it was important to say politically correct and not actually call all people old or refer to that in any other way. So yeah, we managed.
Yeah. So is that a lot in the wording, though? That was
it's really, well, it's pictures too. I mean, you don't want to say that you can't really do things, right?
Yeah.
You want to sort of communicate that, but it's subtle.
Yeah.
We found it difficult to narrow things down, so we had a lot of ideas, but we knew we couldn't put everything onto the box. So going from the process of a huge pile of stuff to what are we actually going to do was quite a lot.
Yeah. Did anybody else have that challenge? It's a really, really common one. And this is why you often end up with a lot of business offerings that kind of feel really fuzzy. It's for exactly that reason. And this is why this can be a really valuable exercise. Any other kind of pain points? Drawing? Really? No. See, this is the thing, is that you think about this exercise and you think, oh god, the drawing bit, that's going to be really hard and horrible. But actually, by the time it's actually, in the scheme of things, the least of your worries. And it becomes a lot, especially if you've got a good drawer on the team, that helps as well. But what I find in these exercises is that actually, it's very often the words that give you the most trouble. And you can sit there, really getting stuck on, what 4 words should you be putting, at the really important part of the box. And that's much more difficult than the thing that you're trying to draw. I also really like the way that there's just no similarity amongst any of these boxes really at all, is there? Everyone's kind of really taking completely different paths with it. And going through that process of actually thinking about what's my product, who is it for, and then how to articulate that in a really clear way helps to really pull out a lot of clarity, which gives you differentiation, which can be interpreted as like strategic, competitive, benefit and all that kind of thing. Can anybody think of ways that they would use this outside of this workshop environment? Is this the kind of thing that you could imagine using in your organisation?
Used something similar at Redgate, where I got a team. They had 3 kind of problems in their product development, and I got them to draw a poster, which was about how they were going to solve these problems. And those posters kind of sat in the office for 3 months while they worked on it, so it's kind of motivating as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I work with about 20 entrepreneurs at the moment. All of them struggle to communicate their message in 1 sentence, so this would be really good to get all of them together and put it on a box.
Totally. Yeah. Like I said, I do a lot of work at startups as well, and this is just an essential part of our toolkit to try to really get it down really clearly. The other thing too is that once you've got this, like you were saying over there somewhere, you can put it somewhere that people can walk past it and pick it up and play with it. And, you might take what you've done and get somebody to kind of make it a little bit shinier or something like that. But this becomes an artifact that you've always got, and you as your vision changes over time, you can go, you know what, this doesn't fit anymore. Does that mean that we've wandered off where we should be, or do we need to make a new box? It gives you something just to check as to whether or not you're staying true to what you set out to do. Because once you start getting into product development, you get down into feature lists and tickets in your project management tools and all that kind of thing. It's really, really incredibly difficult to stay true to the vision, but that's the thing that's going to make your product an awesome product or an average product, is whether or not you've got a good vision, and more importantly, whether or not you can actually keep close to that vision all the way through the product development and the production life cycle as well. That's the really challenging thing, and I think that's what Carl was saying earlier today. It's like we can all talk about innovating and creating great design and all that kind of thing. In theory, it's really easy, but in practice, it's really difficult. And this is one of those tools that you can use to try to make it a little bit easier every day that you go into the office actually making a product, to make it as good a product as it can possibly be. It doesn't have to be a box like this. It can be posters that go on the wall, it can be all kinds of things, but the more that you're actually making things that express the values and the vision that you have for your product or for your organization, and putting them up and making them kind of an integral part of your environment, the more successful they're going to be. So if you're going to do this and just kind of put it away somewhere, then I would say almost don't bother doing it. You'll get some benefit out of it, but the most benefit that you'll ever get out of these exercises is if they become kind of living artifacts that are part of the way the organization functions. And I've worked with companies where they have things, not necessarily in a box, but something that they bring into their production planning meetings. And when they're sitting there trying to work out, okay, what's going to go into this sprint? They can look at this and go, well, which ones fit most with the box? Which ones are closest to the box? Well, then they're the most important things. They're the things we're going to work on. Because again, you can really lose your sense of priority, and things that feel really important in the moment actually aren't in the long run, and it helps you kind of stay true to that. So that's just one technique. There's a great book called Game Storming that's full of all kinds of ways of kind of actively and visually going through these sort of processes. I recommend that you get a look at that. If this kind of technique is going to be useful for you in the longer term, get hold of that book and learn some of the techniques. There's a blog that they do online as well, where you can probably get pretty much the entire book online for free, if that's easier for you. But it's definitely a really useful tool. So hopefully that's something that you can take away and use, and you've learned stuff. If you want to talk any more about this, I'm here for the rest of the day, and I hope you have an excellent rest of your conference. Thank you.